Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us once again. We are Sohmalife here, and we are so excited to bring you guys messages today about the psychic surgery technique. And this is something that has had a truly profound impact personally in my life, but as well as several other people that Lynn has worked with. So I'm so honored to be here, to be speaking with Lynn and interviewing her about this very special technique that has truly changed my life in a profound way. So we have Reverend Lynn Laborde here to talk about how she got certified in the psychic surgery technique, what sort of benefits there is to this technique and the science behind it. So yeah, welcome, Lynn, and thank you for joining us today. We're so excited to bring this amazing technique to our audience today.
Thank you so much, Alicia. This is truly one of my favorites to use because of the simplicity and because of the power. It's 13 very simple commands and questions to ask, and it helps people to alleviate literally years and lifetimes of pain and trapped energy that they've had connected to themselves. It's really extraordinary.
Wow, that's so powerful. And where did you learn this technique? Like, what really inspired you to go about learning this?
When I was very young, there was a workshop that I took that had something like this that allowed a person to remove their headache. And then over the course of my studies, I've studied with many different organizations. I have over 20 different certifications for studies where I've done thousands of hours mastering techniques. I used an aspect of things that I learned with an organization that was called Power Leadership and another organization that was called Holodynamics. And I became a teacher and a mentor in both of those fields, having studied with them, one organization for 5 years and one organization for 8 years. So the psychic surgery technique is really, it's like a psychic energy healing technique. It allows you to go into people's energy fields. So we have a physical body, an emotional body, a mental body, and a spiritual body, or what's called the etheric body. And energy, everything is made up of energy. Einstein's theory of relativity is that E equals mc squared. So if energy moves at a certain velocity or a certain frequency, then emotions are basically energy in motion. The E stands for energy. Energy in motion is an emotion. So what happens is energy or emotion comes at us at a certain speed. And usually we can handle that. We allow that energy to move through us, like walking through a waterfall. But sometimes it comes towards us with such speed or such velocity, it almost feels like it shocks us.
Yeah.
And rather than allowing the energy to move through us, what we actually do is we put up a wall. When the energy doesn't come through, it blocks, and it creates this little mass. And it has a texture and a temperature and a size and a weight and feelings and emotions that are trapped inside of it. So it's like,
would you say it's mainly from traumas that those blockages are created, or can it be other sort of things? Like, how does that sort of blockage, that kind of connection happen,
My sense of it from the thousands of hours that I've worked with this technique with people is that it comes from trauma. It comes from an energy or an emotion or a feeling that's overwhelming to people. I liken it sometimes to when people go body surfing. And when there's a big wave that's coming, if you try to stand strong to the wave, it's going to knock you over, sand everywhere. If you dive into the wave as it comes towards you, there's this placid area. Because another principle in the world of physics is that no two objects can occupy the same space at the same time, and duplication causes erasure. So by going back in and looking at all the aspects of this blocked and trapped energy, you're actually going to duplicate it and you're going to be able to make it disappear. And then people's energy moves in the most amazing ways. It's kind of like if water's running down a stream and there's a big rock in the middle, the water's going to need to go around it. But if you can remove the rock, the water is going to flow faster and stronger.
Yeah. Definitely, that's really powerful. And it's even more powerful that you're able to pinpoint, E equals mc squared. That's a concept that we're all familiar with it. And we all know that we're also, energetic bodies, right? That we constantly have energy flowing through us. So, going along with that theory, really understanding and taking that and applying that to who we are is such a powerful tool, and that's really amazing that you've been able to do this with that technique.
I remember years ago when we did this with you for the first time, 3 years ago, you had suffered with an injury in your arm, and we were able to go and look at what had happened and when it had happened, and the energy
Yeah,
that was trapped there, and the story that surrounded it. And by helping you to basically release it and turn it white, it allowed you to be freed up from the impact that it had across several relationships, but most poignantly, most significantly, how it was impacting you in your life and your
exactly.
ability to feel free and your ability to flourish. Because when people have things that happen to them, whether it's physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, spiritual abuse, like having nightmares and things like that, they build up walls or they build up defenses to try and protect themselves. But when they no longer have fear in those areas, the things can come at them and they'll just move right through them. Like I said, it's like walking through a waterfall instead of
Yeah.
trying to, walk and get stuck. The water has frozen in time.
So yeah, like you said, like I had this profound healing with Lynn, and it was actually about 3 years ago now. And it's funny how time flies. And this profound healing happened to me at a point in time where I felt like I was holding on to so many traumas. And when you're doing this sort of spiritual work, you'll see that things arise within you, and it's like the universe like bringing up these things here and there for you to acknowledge it, and for you to be like, okay, this doesn't serve me, that doesn't serve me, I need to like release these different things.
Yeah.
And it was really powerful and very difficult for me to like go deeply into that trauma and heal it, but I knew it was something that I had to do. And you did such an incredible job with holding that space for me and allowing me, not like giving me the easy way out too. Like, you knew that I had to re-experience it. You knew that I needed to see it in order to heal it. And the thing with this technique is that it gives your traumas a somatic, tangible energy, so you're able to see it and you're like, oh, this is what it is that's holding me back, this is what it is that I can recognize, and it's something that I can actually move. So like, to give it a shape, to give it an object, there's so much power in that, because then it's not just like some sort of random thing in the etheric realm, it's something that's within you that you can remove, and there's some immense power in that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really profound. And, we start by asking people what color it is. And when you can kind of get all of those somatic, like what shape is it? What color is it? What size is it? What temperature is it? Does it have any sensation or movement to it? What's it made of? What is its purpose? And then you can get into all of the feelings and the emotions. You then find out that this thing that you thought you were stuck with, you thought that was lodged inside of you, is actually malleable, and you can
Yeah.
move it in and out of your body. And then you can find this incredible freedom when that thing it's like a bear with a thorn in its paw, and it's just in pain. And when you remove that, it gives you a whole new life, a whole new experience.
That was the most incredible part of that experience. It was when I was able to move it, and I was like, wow, like it was so easy for me to release that experience. And, you know, I felt like after doing that, it made me realize how much we sometimes attach ourselves to our traumas, that we don't really, want to release it, that it becomes part of us. We're like, no, this is my thing. This is what happened. This is like part
Move
of who I
forward.
am,
Mhm.
but like, by releasing that, there was so many great and amazing things that left room, from that room that it was created from that release, that I was able to fill myself up with, including like deeper self-love, deeper confidence, deeper appreciation for who I was. And, it was through this healing that I was really able to achieve that higher level of being.
It takes profound courage to look at our darkness, to look at our pain, and to love it and to release it.
Mm.
It really takes a profound act of love. And it was during a meditation one time that I was told that I would be able to handle whatever was put in front of me in the form of a client and their trauma, that I that I had experienced enough in my life that I could bring the most incredible levels of compassion for anything that anybody goes through. I have a very high level of confront for people's pain and for people's anguish. And I sat with a client today and she wept about some memories that she had. And when she was able to release it, she said to me, I had no idea this was possible. She had no idea that that level of freedom was possible. And it was very interesting. Right at the end, she said, I'm not sure that I want to let this go. It was very interesting. And then
That's
another
funny
client that I
with
worked
those
with today,
healings. You're so attached to it, and
right,
it's so interesting because it's like you would think it's something you want to release, but then you realize that that attachment is actually in the attachment to the lesson you have to learn from it, right? Because like once you're able to acknowledge that lesson and that experience, then it's easier to release and let it go.
yeah. And sometimes people are just, they're used to their comfort zone, they're used to their boundaries. And sometimes these healings are going to bring them outside of their comfort zone to a realm that they're not used to. And it can be a little discerning, a little scary for people, which is
That's
completely
really true.
understandable. It's funny, I teach people how to read the Akashic Records, and people have been coming into class saying, I was so scared, or they'll come into a session with me and they'll say, I'm so scared. And I'm like, what are you scared of? And I think they're scared of their own darkness or the things that they've tucked down inside of them that they don't want to take a look at. But this exercise makes it very, very safe, and it's very user friendly, very easy to do.
Definitely. And like it's something that everyone can do, and it's like the only requirement I would say is that you have to be ready to look at what comes up, because it's not easy, some of the things that come up, and it's not that simple. It's like, sometimes we have these complex feelings and emotions that get built up inside of us, and it's about holding them and being like, okay, this is what that is. And, kind of like actually looking at that little baggage where we hidden all the stuff under our bed and we're like, all right, time to clear out the closet, and Lynn will like literally go in there and like take everything out and be like, all right, it's time for you to like see all of these things you've been hiding in yourself, and
There's
it's
this Asian
so
woman named
incredibly
Marie
powerful.
Kondo. Marie Kondo has you go through your closet and literally pull out stuff. And I'm kind of like that. I'm like a spiritual Marie Kondo. Like, you're going to go in,
Yeah.
you take a look at the stuff that's been sitting there for years. My rule is if I haven't worn it in a year, it's out. And some of these
Exactly.
are emotions. I said to one woman today, when did how long has this energy been with you? And she went, wow, centuries. And it was actually a past life issue. It's really
Wow.
fascinating. Yeah, and the healing was profound for her. And she wept. Sometimes you will cry just to release the energy.
Oh
The energy
yeah.
is stagnant, but it gets it flowing again.
Definitely. At the end of my healing, I remember I opened my eyes and it's like just completely blurry. And I'm like, I feel like I'm in another world. And I was like, I can't see. And they were like, oh, it's because you have makeup in your eyes. And I was just sobbing, but it felt so good to release that, and that's the thing. Like sometimes when we hold on to these things because it's like so deep, those issues and those traumas, that we need to cry, to be able to feel it and release it and be okay with it, and just know that that was part of my path, but I know that there was a purpose in it. It's about honoring the purpose and about honoring the movement beyond whatever that situation was.
Yeah, it is. I've always said that tears are like a heart song, you know, a heart singing out for what it is that it needs. And sometimes they're tears of joy, and sometimes they're tears of grief, and sometimes they're tears of pain, and sometimes they're tears of love. Tears actually come out of three different places in the eyes. You'll have tears that'll come out on the side, tears that come out on the inside, and then sometimes tears that come straight down.
Straight down, yeah.
Yeah, whenever I channel the love that comes out, the tears just come straight down my face. It's really amazing. Grief for me tends to be on the inside, and then the joy tends to leak out on the outside. So
Oh, wow, that's so powerful. And
yeah.
it was interesting, with this technique, how quickly I saw the results from this. Like, there was a deep relationship that I healed in this, psychic surgery technique. And basically, when I ended up seeing that person where I healed this issue with, they were so incredibly nice to me. And it was like 10 times nicer to me than they were the day before. And it was, they just treated me differently. And I literally felt like our relationship was healed. And in a lot of ways, like I felt at peace with it. And it's something that I didn't feel for such a long time. So for me to finally feel that, it was really, truly profound and empowering. So I'm
Yeah,
so grateful that we had that experience.
me too. Me too. And, you know, it's beautiful to see. Here's the thing that's funny about the work I do. People don't go, oh God, I don't feel that pain anymore. They just don't feel that pain anymore. But they don't think and they go, oh, I should go back to Lynn to have her remove more pain. They come when they're in pain. They don't come
Yeah.
like proactively to get rid of the pain. And then when it's gone, they're like, oh yeah, that's right. We did that thing all that time ago. And like
Yeah.
I've just recently been asking people to do reviews, and you know, I've got clients that are going back 20 and 30 years, and they're like, my God, I can't believe how much my life has changed and what a
From
difference.
that moment, yeah. And it's when people truly do that reflection and they realize, like, wow, it was that point of healing that really set all the good things for us in our life, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, it's really incredible. It's so easy to teach. It's so easy to do. It takes a level of confidence. It takes courage too, to be able to say, I'm going to look my darkness straight in the eye, and I'm going to surround it with love, and I'm going to make it disappear.
I
And
think
that's what
that's the most powerful thing about it, is that it's easy for everyone to do, and it's about looking at that darkness, right? And
exactly.
it's interesting because after I did that technique with you, after you were able to do that profound healing with me, I did that training with you where I learned how to do it as well.
Yep.
And, you know, since then, I've been able to heal so many people in
Mhm.
profound ways with it. And it's because of that training that I had with you. And you're such an amazing teacher, too, with like holding
Mhm.
people's hands to show them really profoundly how this can transform people, you know. And it's like the greatest joy to find a teacher who's able to bring you to that level and who has that confidence in you that you're able to do it. So I thank you for that as well.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. It's one of my favorite, you know, of the toolkit that I have. I have probably a dozen or so techniques that I love to teach people. It's absolutely the easiest and probably one of the most effective.
I would
It
say
just
it
gets
is. Yeah.
right in.
And the
Really.
thing about it is that it can apply to so many different things, like you've shown me before.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. You know, people think that they're stuck with something forever. I worked with one of the teachers from the Psychic Development Academy, and she had this chronic condition in her back, and we did it, and then she was going like this, and I said, "Is something wrong?" And she goes, "I'm looking
I
for it.
feel
It's not there anymore. Where did it go? Wait, what did you
she's like,
do?"
what'd you do? That's so
Like they
funny.
want it back. I
So
always say to people, you can throw a ball over the yard, and if you want it back, you can always go get it. But if you don't want it back, you know, it's gone.
exactly. That's so funny. Do you want to list the different ways that people can utilize this technique to heal? So
Sure.
on top of like traumas and things like that, what other things can people do with this healing? And one of the ways that I'm thinking of like is like how you did that with me with the clairs too, and that was a really cool example.
So one of the courses that I teach is called Clearing the Clairs, and the clairs are your extrasensory perception abilities. Clairaudience is the ability to hear beyond your normal ears, like to hear voices from spirit, to get messages from spirit. Clairvoyance is the ability to see beyond your physical eyes, to be able to see things that are not of this dimension, sometimes with your eyes open, sometimes with your eyes closed. Clairsentience is the ability to feel spirit, so it's very much connected to your heart, to feel beyond the normal senses, like, you know, not the sense of touch, but something else. You can feel the presence of you know, spirits again from other dimensions. And then claircognizance is the ability to know information. The information just comes to you, and it kind of comes to you with all the senses. And what I do is I do a very simple practice of taking people on a scale to finding out where they are in each of those levels, and then going in and finding out what's blocking them, you
Yeah.
know, from being higher. And then I take them through this very simple process. It's the induction process that I do in my mentoring with people, and I did it with a client today, and it was just astounding.
That's
You know,
amazing.
she started out, uh, one of her abilities was at a level 5, and we had it up to a 9 by the time we were done, and then others that were at 6 and 7s were at 9s, and 10s. And by the time she's done with me, you know, everything will be at a 10. So it's really, really powerful. It's, you know, it's just about removing, you know, I get the information of where the blockage is, and then I relate that to the client. I actually work with the guides of my clients. So when I'm saying they say, I'm actually talking and engaged with the spirit guides of the clients I'm working with. And then, you know, my clients are making some commentary too. It's like this team, they're all working together. And then from there, uh, we go in and, you know, piece by piece, we, you know, if there's a blockage in clairvoyance, we go into the third eye. If there's a blockage in claircognizance, we go into the crown chakra. If there's a blockage, you know, with clairsentience, we'll go into the heart. It's you know, with clairaudience, we'll look, you know, to see. I literally had a client who's like, oh, I have a boulder in front, and you know, rolled in front of my ear. It's really fascinating. But it's, you know, everybody, it's so funny. I haven't met anybody who hasn't been able to do it. It's just crazy effective.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to that effectiveness.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's so incredible how many ways that you can apply this to once you learn this technique into different areas of your life. And it's just like,
It's physical. So if you have physical pains, you can make headaches go away. If I find that I have a pain in my arm, I'll just go into it, spot it, and turn it white. You can use it for emotional pain. You can use it for, you know, chronic thoughts that you have. When you have a thought that goes over and over and over, it's a thought that's caught on a loop. And you find out where that loop came from and you can dismantle it.
wow,
If you know, if you have, like I said, if you have nightmares, if you have afflictions, if you have, you know, dreams, or if you have, you know, spirits, I mean, it, you know, it can impact you on every single level. Pretty much any condition. I can't think of any condition that you have that this wouldn't apply to.
yeah,
Except,
even financial, which is super cool, you know,
oh yeah, and then
definitely.
you would, because these are patterns that we have. These are energetic patterns of ways that we see things and ways that we approach things, and fears that we have, and, you know, fears about people, places, and things. And then there, you know, other techniques that I bring in that I'll layer with this to do this work. But what I love is that I can teach it to anybody and they can take it and run with it. I don't want to just give a man a fish. I want to teach a man to fish, and that's what, you know, my teaching aspect is about. I want to help you heal yourself and help you heal others.
Definitely. Well, it was such an honor speaking with you about this amazing sacred technique. And if you guys are interested in getting a healing from Lynn with this technique, I completely attest to how powerful this is. It's helped me to heal some truly deep traumas that were holding me back from my life. And this is something that you won't regret. It's so powerful, and it truly has the ability to transform you, transform your soul, and release any blockages that you have. So, you know, definitely check out the Sohmalife website. And if you are already a psychic, then you want to learn this technique and have this under your tool belt, because this is a powerful thing that can help to heal numerous clients. And that level of healing will reach well beyond the level that you've been currently healing them. You know, it's a very much all encompassing kind of healing.
Yeah, and it's not just that you have to be a psychic to do it. You can do this, you know, psychologists are able to use this technique, but
Definitely.
you know, and sometimes people aren't able to see, so you just have to know how to work around that. That's why I always recommend that people learn a couple other, you know, processes along with this, but this by itself is a, you know, stand up, stand out, stand alone
Yeah.
process.
Well, such a blessing, and thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you, Lynn, for being here.
Thank you,
Sending you
Alicia.
blessings.
Bye.
Bye.